And, of course, it counts, particularly on Free Speech Friday, brought to you in association with the Free Speech Union, the champions of free speech in New Zealand. I would like first to make an incredibly warm welcome to the person who's first time a Free Speech Friday virgin, the Mayor-elect and Olympic champion, although that is now in his past, the Mayor-elect of Tauranga, Mahé Drysdale. Mahé, welcome to the platform. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
All right, and regular Maurice, we got in there, you've done that. Maurice Williamson, Auckland councillor, former National Party Cabinet Minister. Maurice, how are you, mate?
Old political hack, I think, is the best way to do it.
All right. And there's a new political hack. Do you guys,
morning, Maurice.
You guys ever met before?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either, actually. So
Okay.
look forward to catching up at some point.
All right, let's start with the Olympics, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, Mahé. First, I want to ask you a personal question. As a former Olympic champion and someone of some note, do you watch the Olympics? Are you pretty into this, or is it like been there, done that, and you look the other way and life's moved on?
Oh no, I think once an Olympian, always an Olympian, and I've loved watching it and had the kids. So yeah, most mornings we put it on and sort of catch up on overnight, and then in the evenings. Last night I was up a bit late watching the K4 win. So It's awesome to see our Kiwis and especially Wahine, performing so well.
The Sheilas are doing pretty well, aren't they, at the moment? They're leading the boys big time medal count.
Yeah, they are, and it's great. Great to see these teams. Dame Lisa obviously coming through and leading. Three youngsters into the Olympic gold medal ranks. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah, Maurice, are you as interested in the Olympics?
Absolutely. I'm incredibly sleep deprived at present. I've gone for nearly 7 or 8 days with bugger all sleep.
All right. Let's address controversy, though, there. And I've been talking to Bob McCroskey about this, and gosh, it's generated some talk back and texts and columns. This issue of the boxers, the two boxers. And look, I guess I might have sat there and said, I'm not going to get too worked up on this. But when I see the woman they are fighting, Mahé, making this X sign, and when I see the woman they are fighting in Olympic competition saying, this isn't fair, I think this is more than some wider political argument. This is about fairness in sport and protecting women.
I probably agree with you in that respect. Look, it's a really hard issue, but I think the sports have taken probably a political view, whereas I think you're right around that woman, and we've got to actually think about what's fair to women. Whether that's another category, or whether it's a limit as to for example, if you've gone through puberty. As a man, but if I switched now, having all the benefit of being a man up until 40 years, I am going to be, I am going to have an
you
advantage.
decide you're Maria Drysdale. If the sport lets you, you go to the next Olympics and you win everything, right? I don't know, but I would imagine that I'd have an advantage. Just because of all that time. But if it's an earlier thing and you haven't been through puberty, then that's maybe a separate issue. But as it stands, Mahé, there are circumstances where you could possibly do that. Now, you'd never do that because you're a decent human being, you're not a cheat. But isn't the problem, Maurice, that not everyone's a decent human being and some people don't mind cheating?
Well, let's go through it doesn't make a difference. And if you've been watching like I have a look at the distances the men's shot put achieves compared to the women's. Have a look at the distance the men jump in the long jump compared to the women. Have a look at the height the men jump in the high jump compared to the women. And then you suddenly bring somebody into the women's competition that's a man, and he can win those. And you just say, anybody on a fairness scale, is that okay? Is that fair? Unless you went to just a single-sex competition, like in tennis, the best 200 tennis players on this planet will beat the number one woman every time in terms of what's going on. But they keep them separate because there's different, biological and physiological things, and that should be celebrated. The idea you can cross over from one to the other and start winning, I think it makes no sense at all.
All right, so we do have an issue here, guys, and it's no good calling the people who raise this right-wing or fascists or homophobes. Would you both agree that the current situation and the current ambiguities that exist and that have been highlighted in the boxing this year, and I guess were highlighted in the past by Lauren Hubbard, this has got to be sorted at some stage, hasn't it, Mahé?
Yeah, and look, it's as I say, it is a tough one because you've got to include everyone, but maybe the solution is you have an open category and a women's category, and then you open it up to everyone.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. You're discriminating against people who are going to commit suicide, Mahé, because you're being mean to them. All right, I want to move on. I want to move on to a story that didn't get as much coverage as I thought it deserved, but we talked to Federated Farmers in Southland this week about the fact that the Gore District Council, in its long-term plan, is considering a proposal from the local iwi of the whole South Island, basically, Ngāi Tahu, that all of Gore District will be deemed to be culturally significant, which means that anything that happens in the entire Gore District has to be consulted with the iwi about, because they've just said all of Gore is a cultural taonga or could be culturally significant for us. This apparently has massive implications, according to Federated Farmers, for all sorts of things that farmers would do on a regular basis on their land, like feeding out, putting in a fence, etc., etc., etc. Maurice, firstly, geez, surely Ngāi Tahu didn't think they'd get away with it, then they find that they might.
I mean, that should instill panic into any of us, because I'm happy to recognise Māori culture, happy to recognise, that they have a special place in our society. But the problem you get into is if you start recognising certain things, like that is being suggested there, you open it up to everything that we take for granted in terms of getting resource consents, in terms of running your business, just as going about your life, can now get tipped on its head completely and create, and actually unintended consequences get quite serious. So I would suggest tread very, very carefully for a proposal that extreme. If it's just look, we're all one and we're working together and we all respect the treaty, that's fine. But nearly all of these things end up coming back to bite you on the bum with legal implications. Yeah,
and absolutely issues around Māori and local governance are very hot at the moment. The Kaipara decision to get rid of their Māori wards, of course, the passage in the last week or two of the legislation on Māori wards. Mahé, as Tauranga returns to local body democracy under your watch, I guess too you have many sites of significance for Māori around Tauranga, Bay of Plenty. Are you surprised that Gore would even entertain the idea of making the whole district a culturally significant spot for Māori?
I guess, where I come from is we've actually just got to get alongside and start working together. I think we've had a very good response, and I think Tauranga have not done it well in the past, but they're certainly trying to mend some of those relationships, and we can get a better city by working together. But I don't think we need to go that far to put extra red tape and rules in place. But they have a very important role to play in making sure that we're doing right by the people we have a treaty with. So I think there's a wider conversation there across the country that we've actually got to come together rather than fighting against each other and deliver what's best for the country.